there's always things that he brings up that I didn't remember. He brings up that I bring up he didn't remember. And half of your remarks, like I was hearing them for the first time, and it was really beautiful. And thank you for protecting me physically and emotionally. And no relation, Fox. What did he say? I'm listening to him speak, and I'm thinking, we should have switched when we went places and I got up and made my speeches. I don't know where that came from. Thank you. You just became a senior Fox, level above older Fox. So I just, I've spent the last 4.5 months, probably every day, convincing at least one person how happy I am. You know, it's like my scrambled eggs. I always say, you know, there may be scrambled eggs as good as mine, but there's none better. There may be people that love this job as much as me, but none more. So people can't fathom how I could be as happy as I am. And one of those people some days is me. And I'm often saying, how could this be? How could this be? How could I be as happy as I am? I said it day one, I said it week one, and the answer that came to me in the beginning was, wait a minute, you've been teaching this stuff for years. I've been telling people that we are not our titles, it's the humanity that we bring to our titles. So we're not our titles, it's the humanity, it's who we are. And when we define ourselves by our titles, we lose our humanity. So when we leave our titles, we lose nothing. If we identify ourselves by who we are, not our titles. And I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple. I mean, I was always Joe Fox. So I love being Joe Fox on Facebook, by the way. Oh man. Stories that I had to be real careful about before, I just let them roll. Let them roll and watch the lights. And it's, I mean, I don't have to be anybody other than Joe Fox. None of us do. We're enough as we are. We're enough as we are. Our titles come with it. It's not who we are. But then, fast forward, a few weeks ago, I had this conversation with myself and say, okay, I got that about the title, but why are you so happy? Why am I so happy? There's got to be more to it. And it occurred to me, the eureka was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the eureka was, in my 36 years, I was happier in every single assignment. I was happier in every assignment, happier than the one I had before. It just got better and better and better. So what's different? Why not be happier now? So maybe it's not about the job. I love the job, but maybe it's about life. And maybe it's about how we live our lives. And it's a tall order, but the best thing I can come up with is there's this really good book, I don't know the name of it, that a few people are telling me about, The Secret of Happiness. And they say there's 3 things that are the secret of happiness. Gratitude, purposefulness, and a good night's sleep, which I'm going to have tonight. No yoga at 9 o'clock in the morning. But gratitude. And I thought, you know what? That's it. That's it. It's a tall order sometimes, but constantly looking at what you have and not what you don't. And Brian, I wrote that, by the way. I did write it. How does it go again? Live in a state of gratitude and you'll never want. Live in a state of want and you'll never have enough. So I see it in his phone one day. And I says, wow, that's really cool. He's like, it's saved someplace. He's like, oh yeah. And I'm looking at him, I says, so where'd you get that? He's like, I don't know, but it's pretty good though. I says, I wrote that. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I put it out 3 or 4. It shows you how much attention you pay to my emails, by the way. Somebody else probably sent it to you after I sent it to them and you deleted my email. And they say, this is pretty good, I wonder who wrote it. But the idea of, and it's hard, of constantly focusing on what we have and not what we don't have, and that's it. And that's it. And speaking of gratitude, Brian and Mark Diaz and Angela and Carol and Alyssa and Rob and Joey Raphael filming over there. You'll probably delete it by accident. The work that you've done in this party, there's nights you haven't slept. And I just realized, Brian, with all you're doing, and I say, hey, Brian, you mind saying a few words? And what you've done for me through these years, the way you've taken care of me, I can't believe I'm functioning the way I can. You spoiled me so much. But I want you to know I'm doing pretty well. 2 days after I gave up the department vehicle, I got my first parking ticket. I had my first accident a week later. Red light, you know, the letters you get with the red lights, the speed. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know they did that. They probably just got intercepted at headquarters. But I got lost on the train about like 2 or 3 times my first week. Saw the same transit cop my first day going to work. Saw the same transit cop in the morning. Took a photo with him. Put it out on Twitter. He was doing something really good. 8 o'clock that night, I'm in Far Rockaway. I'm supposed to be in Rockaway Park. I get off the train. He says, "Chief, what are you lost?" Same guy. So I flipped it around. And I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" "Hey, you got auxiliaries with you? Let's take a picture. Let's put that out on Twitter." And that was the beginning and the end of the day. And I hope he's not here tonight, but I was lost. But I'm gratitude. So it's something else I put out that I did not write. There are no such thing as strangers. There's only friends I've yet to meet. And the new position I'm in, the people I work with, I am so appreciative. Thank you, John Brennan. Thank you, John Silverman. Thank you, Pat Finland. And thank you, all these tables on the left here, my new SEAL security family. I love you all, and thank you for being here. Thank you. And thank you. And the people in my life, what just keeps coming to me. Marcella, Jenna, and James. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your lives. Watching you parent Jenna and James is an incredible, inspiring experience. Something to witness. It's amazing. And Marcella, thank you for every day helping me find the best version of myself. And to my children, Liz, the last time we were here, I was PEA Person of the Year. And I embarrassed you then, I'm going to embarrass you now. And I'm going to tell you how proud I am of you. And I'm going to tell you how proud I am that when all of your fellow students graduated Delaware and went on up with their lives and did things, you said you're going to take another couple of years and become a, Well, you're going to do a couple of years. I'm complimenting you. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me when I'm criticizing you. And what's going on to get a master's in occupational therapy. And Rob, thank you for taking such good care of her life. Nice haircut. And Joe Fox. What's Joe Fox? They're telling me I gotta call Joe Fox the baby Joey, and no one checked with me. It's always Joe Fox. I'll play along now. And Jen, thank you for bringing these amazing children into my life. And Leah. Hi, Leah. I'm a self-taught guitar player, and I play like a self-taught guitar player. And I've been playing since I'm doing whatever you call that since I'm 19 years old. And the first person in my life that ever wanted to hear my music is Leah. Now, for 59 years, no one wanted to hear but Leah. And gratitude. Everyone here tonight. I can't tell you what this means. I can't tell you how overwhelming this has been to think that there's going to be a bunch of people in this catering hall, and it's my retirement party. It's not another event that I happen to be at. And I can't tell you what that means to me. Each of you, the place you hold in my life, the impact you've had and will have on me, how difficult it is for you to be. It's a Wednesday night. I mean, we have CompStat in the morning. Oh no, we don't. Some of us do. Jimmy Segredo does. Harry Wheaton does. Aha. I'll text you at 5 to 8 in the morning. Thinking of you. I'll tell you I'm cross again, Jimmy. I'll send you a picture of a selfie and be in the bed. But everyone's presence here in this room means a great deal to me. And I wanted to sit back for 6-year-old Joe Fox. I'm a little boy. My Uncle Eddie, my mother's brother, would say they had family gatherings. Where's your daddy work? And I'd say, my daddy don't work, he's a cop. And everyone would laugh, And this would happen repeatedly. I didn't get it. I would just say, my daddy don't work, he's a cop. And it hit me about when I had 20 years on the job and I was speaking at a metal day. And I realized from the perspective of a young boy, my father didn't work. He was a man of service. Thank you, Mike, for your words about him. He was a man who was always doing for others. People, if somebody had a car accident, they came to Walter Fox with his 8th grade education, by the way. If somebody's kid was on drugs, they came to Walter Fox. That was like the center of every well, coming to him for advice. So I thought, it's not work, it's service. But isn't that what we all do? We serve. Don't we live to give and give to live? And that's what we do in our jobs. And whatever your title may be, just give it some thought tonight. We serve, that's what we do. That's what we're born to do, and that's what we do. And then fast forward, I was the only guy I knew that didn't have to think about what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a cop. It was very easy. And it happened. And it seemed like it would take forever, but finally I'm in the academy, and I lived in Marine Park on 33rd Street with my apartment on one side, the park on the other, and I got my academy bag, and I'm getting in my car, and there's a jogger going by. And I'm getting in my car like this, and he's coming by, and he's about 45 years old, and he says, "How do you like it?" And I look at him and I say, "I like it, I like it." And he keeps going and says, "Have fun, it goes fast." And I sat in the car and I said, "What goes fast? Probation, the academy?" I don't know, but that was cool because he was a real cop and said hello to me. And I went about my way. And I forgot all about it. About 20 years later, I remembered him. And I thought, wow, he's right. It all goes fast. Life, the job, and have fun. And don't rush it. And that was the beginning and the ending of every rookie orientation. And today I have inspectors that come over to me who came through that orientation and say, "You're right, it goes fast. You're right, it goes fast." And I got to share that wisdom he gave me because of the positions that I was blessed to have. And then I tell the rookies, think about that. We took a second in jogging clothes. Imagine what we can do in our uniforms out there. Imagine what we can do with the positions we hold. And then I went to the 7-0 and married my partner. You said I proposed to you. So the truth is, as far as making sergeant, is that I wanted no part of making sergeant, but I didn't want him to outdo me. And then he tells me about 15, 20 years later, when he invites me to be the best man at the Marine's wedding, that he tells people he became a boss because of me, because he wanted no part of being a sergeant, but he didn't want Joe Fox to outdo him. So you have two guys that wound up becoming chiefs, who just wanted to become cops. And then fast forward, we got promoted to sergeant, and I wound up in the 6-1 precinct. And Mike mentioned Louis Miller. Louis was like a god to us. And Louis Miller, one day I'm at the desk, and there's the doorway, probably as far as where you are, Mike and Joyce, or you, Linda, we're just Stacy. And she comes down, Desiree Whitehead. I remember her. She always had such a beautiful smile. She worked upstairs where Louis' base was. And she came out that door, and when she got close enough to where I could hear her, she didn't have that smile that she always had. And she just said, "Louis been shot, and he wasn't wearing his vest." And everything stopped. The whole world stopped. And I just stood there and stared at her, and she stared at me, and I heard something on the radio. "How's the confidence 7-0 it was shot?" And there was no answer, of course. And I went to the funeral and lined up and felt helpless. And I had been there before, but now I knew the man who was in that casket. And I felt about this big, and I lined up with 10 or 15,000 people, and felt that powerless, helpless feeling. So like Mike, you mentioned being in touch with these great our families. It's empowering for me. It's empowering for us, and none of us would have it any other way. And then I'd stand on more funerals. We all would at more funerals. And then fast forward, I become the precinct commander in the 7-1 precinct. It's really cool because my father was a cop there, and I was a little kid. He used to take me into the precinct, put me in the police cars, and now I'm the commanding officer. And that was like a really great and challenging place. It was 3 years after the disturbances in Crown Heights. And we talk about the glass being half empty, half full. I used to say that in Crown Heights it's overflowing. Because why'd you laugh, Tommy? Yeah? but it's overflowing because we have people of such different ethnicities and backgrounds and customs living literally side by side. And for the incidents that we've seen that are really scattered, great things are happening there in Crown Heights. But something not so great happened in Brooklyn and our city, and it rocked us, and it rocked our city, and it rocked the NYPD. And it was when Admiral Louima was assaulted by a police officer in the bathroom in the 7-0 precinct, and he was attacked with a plunger. And it was so horrible that we were all in shock and thought it couldn't happen. And when we realized it could happen, we were literally ashamed, at least I was, and many I spoke to, we were literally ashamed to be cops. And we were in the gutter emotionally. And they dumped the precinct commander who wasn't even there, he was in the Caribbean at the time. So I felt vulnerable, I felt shame. Then, the borough commander, Patrick Brennan, pulled us all in for a meeting. And it was the shortest meeting I was ever at. It was 20 minutes. And he just gave us a rah-rah. And he shared his vulnerability. This great man with this great reputation, who was relatively new there, said they were considering removing me. He pointed to himself. And I sat there and thought, this guy's like a king, and he's sharing that vulnerability with us. Wow, I'm not scared anymore. And then he said, we're going to get through this, and we're going to do it with dignity and grace and professionalism. We're going to do it together. And I left that meeting, and I wish he would have told me to go through a brick wall, because I would have left it only in dust. And I went back, and I called all the cops on my command in. I had the roster, and I called them in huddles of 5, 6, 8. And I said, you don't have to be ashamed. This is not what you did, this is what somebody else did. We're great people, we're great cops, and I just went on and on. And I thought then, always wanted to know, what is a leader? What book do I read to become a leader? I'm a captain now, I'm an inspector. And I realized then what I saw Pat Brennan do, that's what leadership was. And it wasn't about title. It was about showing caring. It was about empathy. It was about being in your own funk and deciding that you have to lift other people up. And that's not a thing we do by title. Remember I said before, we live to serve? That's what we do. That's what we do as parents. That's what we do as partners. That's what we do. And thank you. And thank you. So much of his family is here. Monica, the First Lady of Brooklyn South. And this is a very special week for each of you, and I appreciate that you're here in this week in particular. Thank you. And thank you. Then I became I was promoted to one-star chief, and I became the executive officer of Brooklyn North. And a colleague of mine called me up and said, you're the luckiest man in this police department. Working for Joe Esposito, you're like an apprentice to Da Vinci. Look at him all covering his face. He hated every time I said this publicly, so why not do it tonight? What's going to change, Joe? Or do we say Leonardo? And it was true, and it was right. And one of the first events I was at, because one of the things he did was he let me do things. He sent me places. He didn't have to be everywhere. He empowered me. And I was at a Shields dinner, which is an organization that supports the families of line of duty cops. And Kenny and John and Judy Hanson were there, and they lost their son Kenny 6 years before, line of duty. And I sat on the dais right next to her, and the song Heroes was playing. And I watched the tears go down her cheek, and I got to meet her. And then fast forward, I became the chief of Queens South a little while later. And I was at another Shields breakfast. And again, the Hansons are there. So my son Joe is pitching. And I loved watching him pitch. And I had said to John as the event ended, all right, John, I gotta go see my son pitch. And then I walked along through the crowd, and Judy was in a separate spot, and she started chatting with me, and she shared some stuff, some really deep feelings about her son and how he died. So of course I listened. So I listened to her for maybe 15 minutes, and I went to my son's game. And 3 days later, I get a note in my home, mailed there. I am so sorry, Judy writes. I didn't know you were going to see your son's game. I would have never taken you away from that. I apologize. And I looked at that, and the significance is quite obvious. You know, I missed maybe one inning of my son's game. She's missing her son. who sacrificed his life for our city. And it was very, very, very grounding for me, very powerful. And I think at that point I realized people talk about perks and benefits of having a ranking position. I realized then that that's the perk of being a chief, that I got to be able, sit side by side with these great families. And then I get to Brooklyn South in May of 2000, and I was there 11 and a half years. So think about this. Out of 36 years, almost a third of my career was in one place. So in this career, in this life that many of us have chosen, it's laced with pain, agony, and of course, joy and significance and honor. So I had a lot of both in those years, a lot of both. And I didn't realize this like number until about 2 years ago, probably because I wasn't ready to really even see it. But we had 7 line of duty deaths in 7 years at Brooklyn South. 6 line of duty deaths within 3. But what preceded those was 2001. And Mike, you mentioned how well everything was going. I remember, and I have it someplace, we were leading the city in crime reduction. Things were great. We were 2 partners working together. People would come in to get something signed or a decision made, and we start telling stories. And you ever see how Seinfeld would back out of George Steinbrenner's office when George would be rambling? That was what would happen. We'd just start talking, and they'd oh, okay. They'd just back out, because they knew they weren't going to get anything done listening to us. And I actually sent Joe Esposito and Bill Moran, who was the chief of patrol, and I wrote a note to them. And I said, hey guys, I know you've got issues in the city, and I know there's some crime problems in places, but things are going really great here. So I just want you to know that me and Mike are going to make an annex from our office in Flatbush to Special Operations, which is the Floyd Bennett Field. And we're going to be watching kayaking and fishing and everything else, and we're going to go out on boats. And it was like a haha. And I still have that note. It's in my September 11 box. Because when I was laughing about how great everything was, darkness was just around the corner. And in my core principles of leadership and development, it's agenda I do and presentations, the first thing I cover is transitional anxiety, that when you go through changes, you'll struggle. And then I say that here's the thing, after you get through that change and those challenges, you're going to look back and you're going to realize that there are certain people that feel as if they were put there just for you. And Mike Collins was put there just for me. And I appreciate that. I'll never forget, and I don't know how it would have been with that great professional and personal loss, my nephew Michael, and all of you did. And the things you talked about, we did after 9/11, we did it together. We did it together, and thank you for that. Thank you. And then in 2011, I became the chief of transit, and people, just like people, by the way, back to convincing everybody I'm happy. This is what I've been getting the last 4.5 months. People look at you and they're like, "How you doing?" And I say, "I'm doing great." And then they say, "Yeah," which means I don't believe you. I say, "No, I'm doing great." I go, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And most times they say, "That's great." But every now and then somebody, they need to project. All right, I'll be sad for you. You want to be sad, I'll be sad with you. Let's both be sad together. But people would come to me and say, "How do you like transit?" Because I love Brooklyn South so much. "How do you like transit?" I say, "I love it." They say, "Yeah?" I say, "Yeah." Because transit is the same thing that Brooklyn South has. It has young men and women that want to do the right thing in the world. And I get to watch. And if we do it right, we get to support them. So we were able to get that family atmosphere in transit. And here's some about Christine, the Duchess. We had royal names. We were at 130 Livingston Street, which is on Orem Place and Livingston. So Ray Porteous, where is he? He was the Duke of Livingston. Christine was the Duchess, right? The Duchess. Vinnie Coogan was the Minister of Defense. And who knows what they called me? Court jester. But one of the special gifts in transit with those wonderful people, and so many of them are here tonight, and thank you, was that we were able to do 55 sessions, 2 days a month, of the seminar, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that I got to present the Stephen Covey book with Nora Ahmed and Dawn Gavin and Quatisha Epps and Willem Long and Chris and the Duchess, who joined us also. And you know, one of the things in my core principles is that our greatest, we retain the most of what we teach to others. And we got more out of those sessions that have to do with life skills and than anybody we taught. And we did that since 2013, and you're still doing it now. You're training the NCOs. And the 7th habit that was most special to me has to do with personal and professional balance. And that is the idea of taking care of ourselves and not getting too stuck in what we do. And taking care of ourselves and not getting lost in anything we do, not getting lost in our job, not getting lost in our relationship. Get the babysitters, parents. Get the babysitters. Make sure you have time for yourself. Go for the walks. Get your manicures, like I did today. Clear. Read your poetry. Take care of ourselves. Because taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it's selfless, because it better enables us to take care of others. And then I end these presentations with a question, and I say, by a show of hands, anybody here think I'm a happy person? The hands will go up. And then I say, you want the secret? And I say a couple of times, you want the secret? And people say, yeah. I say, I'll give it to you. It's easy. Anybody can have it. In the last couple of years of my life, I am ever mindful of the purposefulness of the purposeful moments in my purposeful life. I'm constantly mindful of the purposefulness of the purposeful moments in my purposeful life. Now, what does that mean? When I call my daughter Liz every day, I'm thinking, I don't always say it, but a lot of times I do, I'm thinking of how special she is. I'm aware of it, I'm conscious of it. When I call my son, and he puts Leah on the phone, who calls me Bucky, by the way. I sound like some guy in a pickup truck in the Midwest with a bunch of bumper stickers. Bucky. Leah, Bucky. Hey. I'm mindful.
She's saying you're on TV. You're on TV.
Oh, thank you, Leah. She's showing me. Hi, Leah. This exchange here, I'm mindful of this. She may remember it. When I send, she won't remember this. When I send emails to her secret account that she's going to get when I give her the password, I'm thinking that I'm speaking with the future. Did anyone tell anybody they love them today? That counts. Think about what that means. Did anybody drive their kids to school today? Did anybody wake up and tell your partner next to you that I love you before you look at your phone? They all count. They all count. And holding the doors, did you hold the door for anybody today? I love holding doors. Here's what I do. Everybody holds the door when somebody's right behind you. I hold the door. Try holding the door for someone when they're 20 feet away. And you know what they do? They walk really fast. And they say, thank you, thank you. And I say, don't walk so fast. You're minimizing a pleasurable experience. I enjoy holding the door for you. I do this. And then they walk faster. And then I say, may all your weeds be wildflowers, and they keep going. Wrong numbers? Wrong numbers. Yeah, wrong number. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. You're probably a nice person. I got to say hello to you. Oh, wow. One woman called me twice within a year. She told me, oh, I called you before. You said the same thing. I'll change. She said, I'm sorry. I'll correct it. I said, don't be sorry. I said again, you're probably a nice woman. I got to say hello to you. One older guy said, well, actually, I am a nice man. He sounded like the guy from the Wizard. When Dorothy said, you're a bad man, he said, no, I'm a very nice man, I'm a bad wizard. Purposeful moments, these moments tonight, that all of you are here, thinking about what each of you mean and how our lives continue to touch each other and what each of you have done for me and my family, not only by your presence tonight, but by your place in my life. The fact that on a Wednesday night when you all have to work tomorrow, except me, thank you, Captain Moore. It means the world to me. I'll never forget it. I love each of you and thank you so much. Thank you.
like time to speak for everybody in this room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know you're retired, but you have one more appointment. And that appointment is with the NYPD Jazz Band. Please follow me.